Happy Pride. Welcome to the LGBTQ Latinx information and resource session. Before we begin, I want to note that all attendees are anonymous and you will have the option of asking questions anonymously through the Q&A feature. If you choose to comment in the chat, you can decide whether you only want the panelists and hosts to see your comments or whether you want attendees to see.
Feliz mes de orgullo. Bienvenidos a esta sesión de información y recursos LGBTQ Latinx. Antes de comenzar, queremos dejarles saber que todos los participantes son anónimos y tienen la opción de hacer preguntas anónimamente por medio de la función de Q&A. Si desea comentar en el chat, usted puede decir si quiere que solo los panelistas vean su comentario o si quiere que todos vean en el chat su comentario.
I want to start by introducing Elvis from the Hudson Pride Center. Hudson Pride Center was created in the early 1900s to advocate for and provide social services to the LGBTQ and HIV positive communities in Hudson County at a point when most were unwilling to do so. They've been providing services for over 25 years. Elvis joined Hudson Pride Center in 2019 and is a Latinx prep counselor. He has a master's in social work and is a lifelong resident of Hudson County. He's a great person to talk to about finding LGBTQ+ affirming healthcare providers. And without further ado, here he is.
Quiero comenzar a presentarles a Elvis del Hudson Pride Center. El Hudson Pride Center se inició en los 1990s para abogar y proveer servicios sociales para las comunidades de LGBTQ y VIH en el condado de Hudson, cuando muchos no estaban dispuestos de hacerlo. El centro ha prohibido servicio por más de 25 años. Elvis se unió a Hudson Pride Center en 2019 y es consejero PrEP Latinx. Él tiene una maestría en servicios sociales y es un residente de por vida del condado de Hudson. Él es la persona indicada para ayudarle a encontrar proveedores de salud reconocidos en asistir la comunidad de LGBTQ. Sin más demoras, aquí está Elvis.
First and foremost, thank you so much, Lena and Marcia and Chelsea from the North Bergen Public Library. My name is Elvis Guiracocha, pronouns he, him, his. I am the Latinx Prep Counselor for Hudson Pride Center. Hudson Pride Center is a nonprofit organization dedicated to working directly with the LGBTQ+ community, as well as people living with HIV and AIDS in Hudson County. Gracias por invitarme hoy día. Estoy muy encantado para estar aquí con ustedes. Esta sesión va a estar en inglés y en español. Mi español no es tan perfecto, pero yo sí sé cómo comunicarme un poquito. Estoy muy encantado por estar aquí. Yo soy parte del Hudson Pride Center. Yo soy consejero Latinx de PrEP. Yo ayudo y asistir a individuales que están interesados en comenzando el PrEP, que es un medicamento para prevenir VIH, y igual alocar pruebas de VIH, enfermedades sexuales para la comunidad que no tienen seguro o que están viviendo con seguro y necesitan ayuda en apoyo en alocando recursos. So this event today will be talking a little bit about some of the resources and information that is made available in Hudson County that maybe not a lot of you that are on today's call may know of. And these are resources that are really locally accessible and can meet the needs of many community members that we've been working with directly, specifically as it relates to our physical, mental, and social well-being. So nuestro evento hoy día va a tocar el tema de nuestros recursos e informaciones que está disponible en la condado de Hudson, específicamente para apoyar y ayudar y la salud mental y física de nuestra comunidad. So without further ado, we can go on to the next slide, Lena. So before we get started, I think it's important to talk a little bit about some of the session objectives that we'll be covering today during today's session. If anyone has any questions, feel free to use the Q&A anonymously, or if you do have the option of using the chat box, but please do save all questions for the end. We will be leaving a portion out to have a little Q&A discussion. So for the first objective today, We will be providing a safe and inclusive space for community members to learn and inquire more about resources available throughout Hudson County. Para comenzar hoy día de evento, es importante de hablar de objetivos de nuestra sesión. El primer objetivo de nuestra sesión va a proporcionar un espacio seguro e inclusivo para que los miembros de la comunidad aprendan sobre más recursos en todo el condado de Hudson. The second objective for today's session will be to learn more about Hudson Pride Center and services available for the LGBTQ+ community. Y el segundo objetivo de nuestra sesión hoy día va a ser para obtener más información sobre Hudson Pride Center y los servicios que estamos ofreciendo a la comunidad LGBTQ en este momento. So the first resource that we'll be talking about today, we'll be talking about some of the health related resources that are made available in Hudson County. So the first resource that comes to mind that we've been tapping into directly and have been forming a partnership with them in order to meet the needs of the community members that either don't have insurance or don't have the financial stability to seek these resources at a normal price. So Hoboken Family Planning Clinic offers low-cost HIV/STD testing, reproductive health care, cancer screenings, and more. Prices are calculated by income sliding scale, which means that every fee is by an income sliding scale basis. So they don't ask for any proof of income. They just ask you in their intake form to write down a little bit about how much income you make. And if you're not working at that time, you are more than welcome to put income zero and receive services at either free or reduced cost. They have a total of 3 clinics located throughout Hudson County, one being in West New York, Union City, and then Hoboken. For more information, I have included the link directly to the clinic, or you can also call 201-866-8071 in order to book an appointment. And they are very accessible. They don't have lengthy appointment times. If you would call today, you may be able to get an appointment in by next week. So el primer recursos que vamos a estar hablando hoy día será de nuestros recursos de salud que están disponibles en el condado de Hudson. Hoboken Family Planning Clinic ofrece pruebas a bajo costo de VIH y enfermedades sexuales, atención de salud reproductiva, exámenes de detección de cáncer y más. Los precios se calculan por escala móvil de ingresos. Ellos tienen 3 clínicas ubicadas en West New York, Union City y en Hoboken. Para obtener un poquito más de información, aquí está el link de la página que puede entrar, o también pueden llamar al número 201-866-8071 para poder alocar una cita lo más pronto posible. Esta clínica es muy accesible. Ellos nunca tardan de darte una cita muy pronto. So, si llamas hoy día, por ejemplo, puede ser que puedes sacar una cita médica para la próxima semana. Y también nosotros trabajamos directamente con esta clínica sobre nuestros clientes que no tienen seguro de salud o no también tienen acceso a mucho dinero para poder alocar estas pruebas en otros lugares. And then the next slide, please. Yes, the next resource that we'll be talking about is North Hudson Community Action Corporation. North Hudson Community Action Corporation is in fact a FQHC, which stands for Federally Qualified Health Center. They offer access to low-cost primary medical care. Every fee is determined by an income sliding scale basis. There are clinics located throughout West New York and Union City. And if anyone's interested in learning a little bit more information about all the social services that they also offer, I included the link directly to their website. Or you can also call 201-210-0200 in order to book your appointment. They also offer assistance with Medicaid enrollment. So if you are at Medicaid eligible, they also do have social services on site that can be able to help assist you with allocating the Medicaid resource that you may need. One thing to also note is that Hudson Pride Center does have an office in their Union City site. So we've been working directly with them in terms of linking their patients who either test positive for HIV or sexually transmitted diseases and linking them to PrEP medication and overall counseling sessions as needed. So el segundo recurso en nuestra comunidad se llama North Hudson Community Action Corporation. Ellos son una clínica, que son centros de salud calificados federalmente. Ellos ofrecen acceso a atención médica primaria a bajo costo. Las tarifas se determinan según una escala móvil de ingresos y las clínicas están ubicadas en West New York y Union City. Para obtener un poquito más de información sobre los servicios sociales que también ofrecen, pueden visitar la página de web o pueden llamar al número 201-210-0200 para alocar una cita médica o para preguntar sobre sus recursos de servicios sociales. Un servicio que sí ofrecen en este lugar es asistencia en aplicando por el seguro de Medicaid. Si alguna persona es elegible para el Medicaid y no sabe cómo aplicar, también ofrecen servicios sociales para poder asistir y apoyar a la comunidad en las aplicaciones de Medicaid. Y también tenemos, for the second resource that we'll be talking about, we're talking about mental health resources that are available throughout Hudson County. One of the main resources that we tap into is Jersey City Medical Center. In case that if there's a psychiatric emergency, they offer 24/7 emergency psychiatric screenings. They also have a state designated emergency screening service at every emergency room. They offer crisis intervention, stabilization, and treatment are all provided. They also offer mobile outreach to all area residents throughout Hudson County who are experiencing any acute psychiatric distress, and traumatic incident debriefing are provided as well. Services can be accessed 24/7 by calling their hotline at 866-904-4474. They also offer resources in order to link you to ongoing treatment. So once they do conduct their emergency psychiatric screening, they will be able to make referrals and construct the treatment plan as needed. Cuando hablamos de recursos de salud mental en nuestra comunidad, Jersey City Medical Center ofrecen exámenes psiquiátricos de emergencia en el lugar. Ellos tienen servicios de detención de emergencia designados por el Estado en las salas de emergencia de los hospitales. Ellos se proporcionan intervenciones de crisis, estabilización y tratamiento. También se brinda alcance móvil a todos los residentes del Hudson County que experimenten angustia psiquiátrica aguda y informes de incidentes traumáticos. Si alguna persona está interesado en este recurso, se puede acceder a esos servicios por llamando el número que ofrecen, que es 24 horas, 7 días a la semana, 866-904-4474. Y también ellos ofrecen referidos a otros servicios. Cuando hacen sus screenings psiquiátricas, exámenes psiquiátricas, si necesita tratamiento por long term, también le pueden alocar esos recursos cuando es necesario. Another mental health resource that is specifically offered by Hudson Pride Center. So a lot of people may think that we only cater to the LGBT+ community, which we do, but we also help assist any individual who needs help with any mental health resources. So we offer on-site 3 counseling sessions. We have licensed social workers on staff who will assess and refer you to ongoing mental health services. In addition to this, we also offer virtual support groups. Our first support group that we offer is a Youth Connect group, which is tailored towards the LGBT+ youth community, ages 13 to 24. So if you or family member, friend, or someone you may know is a part of the LGBT+ community, is involved within this age range, and is looking for a supportive network to kind of talk about some of the traumatic experiences that we go through. They have healing workshops, a lot of social gatherings. We also have our upcoming LGBT+ youth prom happening this Saturday at Hudson County Community College. And in addition to that, this support group is virtual, so it is a little bit more accessible to youth who may fear being outed going to a support group like this, or just for privacy and confidentiality concerns. It's just a little bit more accessible now. And if there's anybody interested in seeking more information, I included the website that includes a whole range of services that we offer in terms of our support groups. And also we offer another support group, which is our SAGE group, that is dedicated to older adults over the age of 50. So we call this our more seasoned population, who also does express need in allocating resources. So we do have a SAGE group that meets every Tuesday virtually as well, so it's more accessible. And so for more information, please do visit our website or call to our main line, which is 201-963-4779. El segundo recurso de salud mental en nuestra comunidad es de nuestra organización, que también nosotros ofrecemos 3 sesiones de asesoramiento a cargo de trabajadores sociales que estén autorizados para evaluar y liberar a servicios continuos de salud mental. En adición de eso, también ofrecemos grupos de apoyo virtuales para jóvenes de la comunidad LGBTQ que caen por las edades de 13 a 24 años. Si usted, un familiar, un amigo, que son de estas edades que están buscando un grupo de apoyo, que pueden hablar de sus traumas, que todo es privado, confidencial y también en este momento es virtualmente, eso es más accesible para la comunidad de los jóvenes que están pidiendo estos recursos. Y también ofrecemos otro grupo de apoyo que es dedicado a apoyando a adultos mayores de 50 años de la comunidad LGBTQ que también piden recursos sociales, salud mental y salud física también. Para obtener un poquito más de información sobre estos recursos, pueden visitar nuestra página de web, hudsonpride.org, o pueden llamar nuestro número primario a 201-963-4779 para poder hablar con un consejero sobre nuestros recursos y cómo nosotros le podemos alocar esos recursos lo más pronto posible. Some of the housing resources that are made available in Hudson County, specifically for populations who are either on the verge of being homeless, if you're a single adult man or woman over the age of 18, you can tap into the 2 most accessible homeless shelters in the Hudson County, North Hudson area. The first one being the Hoboken Shelter, located at 300 Bloomfield Street. In Hoboken. If anyone is interested or ever knows somebody that may be on the verge of homelessness and has nowhere to go, you can tap in by calling their main line at 201-656-5069 to see if there is availability. I know they do also offer a food pantry as well. So if you ever meet somebody who is experiencing food insecurities and is looking for more food resources throughout Hudson County, may not have the financial means of accessing that, they do have a food pantry on site as well. In addition to this, we also do have another homeless shelter located in Union City. This is a Perk Shelter. Once again, if anyone is interested or anyone has somebody that they may know that's on the verge of homelessness and is in the need of resources, they can tap in by calling their main line at 201-348-8150. Perk Shelter does also offer a food pantry on site, and it is a resource that we have referred clients to in the past as well. Specifically, if clients are either unable to travel to Hoboken, they may find themselves more accessible in the North Hudson area, Perk Shelter would also be the main resource to tap into. Cuando también hablamos de recursos de vivienda en nuestra comunidad, si una persona está sin casa, sin domicilio, específicamente para hombres y mujeres adultos solteros de más de 18 años. Hay 2 shelters muy accesibles aquí en nuestra área. El primero shelter se queda en Hoboken, se llama Hoboken Shelter. Ellos también tienen recursos de comida ahí también. Si una persona también no tiene recursos de alimentos, pueden acceder a ese recurso para recibir comida gratis. Y pueden contactarlos directamente a su número primario, a 201-656-5069. Y el segundo shelter que queda aquí en North Hudson, en Union City, también ofrecen casa para personas que están sin domicilio y también ofrecen recursos de alimentos también. Si una persona no tiene acceso a comida, pueden también alocar este recurso. Y el número primario es 201-348-8150. The second housing resource that is made available in Hudson County, if you are a family with children under the age of 18, there are 3 resources and hotlines that you can tap into. The first one being Hope's House, that offers housing assistance and emergency housing for families with children under the age of 18, as well as St. Joseph's Home and Family Promise of Hudson County. Y el segundo recurso específicamente para familias con niños menores de 18 años, Hay 3 recursos que pueden acceder llamando estos números primarios. Primero bien Hope's House, St. Joseph's Home y también Family Promise of Hudson County, que ofrecen servicios de vivienda de emergencia si una familia se queda sin donde vivir. Y el tercero, the next resource for housing, specifically for youths ages 18 to 21. So if you know of anybody within this age group who is a youth, they offer emergency housing and housing assistance specifically for this population. And Covenant House, specifically located in Newark, will also be able to offer the resources needed. And I believe they do also offer transportation as well. So if there is a youth in need, they can tap into this resource by calling their main line at 973-621-8705. And also Adolescent Housing Hub hotline, which is available 24/7 by calling their main line at 1-877-652-7624. Y el otro recurso específicamente de vivienda para jóvenes desde la edad de 18 a 21 se llama Covenant House. O si un joven se queda sin donde vivir, también ofrecen asistencia de emergencia de vivienda para jóvenes que no tienen ningún lugar para ir, y igualmente ofrecen transportación. So, si conocen a un joven que se queda sin donde vivir, pueden llamar el número primario 973-621-8705. Y el segundo recurso también, si hay un número de hotline que es 24 horas, 7 días a la semana, que se llama Adolescent Housing Hub Hotline, y uno también pueden acceder los servicios de emergencia de vivienda por llamando el número primario a 1-877-652-7624. And the last resource that comes to mind when we talk about housing is Jersey City Medical Center's MASSH/PATH program. Pretty much what this acronym stands for is Medical and Social Services for the Homeless and Projects for Assistance and Transition from Homelessness. So they specifically cater towards the population in Hudson County who either is already living in the streets or couch surfing, as we may often refer that population of doing when they don't have a set place to live in. They help offer medical and social services for this population. And they also, through their PATH program, they help homeless people, specifically not just with housing, but helping them transition back into the community, which is a relatively much newer resource made available in Hudson County that not a lot of people may know of. So if you or anybody you know is already living homeless style and is experiencing either mental health resources, medical insecurities, they can also offer this assistance and linking them to those referrals as needed. Their location is located in Greenville at 1825 John F. Kennedy Boulevard in Jersey City, and they can call the main line at 201-204-0004 or extension 1049. Y el último recurso de vivienda en Hudson County, el Jersey City Medical Center ofrece un programa de servicios médicos y sociales para personas sin hogar y proyectos de asistencia en la transición del singorismo. So, si personas también que están sin hogar le ayudan en transición a la comunidad de alocar recursos, trabajos necesarios y también recursos de salud médico y social que están pidiendo en este momento. Esta oficina está localizado en Greenville at 1825 John F. Kennedy Boulevard en Jersey City. Uno puede alocar este recurso llamando el número primario a 201-204-0004 o también en la extensión 1049 para alocar este recurso necesario. And also legal resources. When we talk about some of the legal resources that come to mind, the main resource that has been very helpful for many of the clients that either don't have financial means or have the inability of being able to allocate this resource on their own is Northeast New Jersey Legal Services. They specifically serve the counties of Bergen, Hudson, and Passaic. They have offices in Hackensack, Patterson, and Jersey City. and they're centrally located and offer comprehensive legal representation to low-income individuals, also senior and disabled residents who have civil legal problems and cannot afford a private attorney. For more information, you can visit their main page or call their main number at 201-792-6363. They are located on 574 Summit Avenue on the second floor in Jersey City, which is their office here in Hudson County. So if anyone has any legal matters and may not have the financial means of talking to an attorney, they offer either low cost or free services to Hudson County residents as well. Y cuando hablamos de recursos legales, Northeast New Jersey Legal Services sirve a los condados de Bergen, Hudson y Passaic. Ellos tienen oficinas en Hackensack, Patterson y Jersey City, y tienen una ubicación central y ofrece representación legal integral a residentes de bajos ingresos, a personas mayores y discapacitados que tienen problemas legales civiles y no pueden pagar un abogado privado. Para obtener un poquito más de información, pueden visitar su página de web o llamar al número primario a 201-792-6363. Su oficina que queda aquí por la condado de Hudson queda por 574 on Summit Avenue, en el segundo piso aquí en Jersey City. One thing to also mention with this resource is that they really only offer legal assistance with individuals who are facing eviction, civil, overall civil legal matters. And however, they do not offer representation for any either criminal arrests or criminal related matters, if that makes sense. So una cosa también de este recurso es importante notar que ellos solamente ofrecen servicios de situaciones civiles, pero no ayudan sobre situaciones criminales. Eso es una cosa de tener en mente antes de llamar y acceder a este recurso. Okay. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit more about Hudson Pride Center's Union City Prep program. So for so long, we've been in Jersey City, and before COVID, we recently had an office in Union City, and now we're finally transitioned back to our Union City location. So I want to take some time to bring a little bit more awareness about our Union City Prep program. We offer free and confidential linkage to HIV and STD testing for residents living throughout Hudson County. We have in-person office hours every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we'll be there twice a week moving forward until further notice. So if there is anyone on the call or anybody you may know who just wants to come in, have a safe space, have someone to speak to, I will be the main counselor there on site. I will be able to see people by appointment or by walk-in. Just please, if there is a pressing matter, I would really appreciate like a phone call, just so I can prepare myself and make sure that I have the room saved and reserved for any matters that may come to play. So some examples of some of the situations that may come up is if you recently had sexual intercourse with somebody who's living with HIV and you weren't aware of their HIV status, we can help allocate those resources as needed for emergency HIV testing. And linkage to post-exposure prophylaxis, which is medication for individuals who were exposed to HIV through either sexual assault, rape, or unknowing or having intercourse with someone of unknown HIV status. Also, our office is located in North Hudson Community Action Corporation. We're located on the second floor at 714 31st Street in Union City. And my phone number is 201-963-4779 extension 1117. I can also be reached via email at elvis@hudsonpride.org. We can offer free condoms, lubricants, resources as needed, and referrals as needed as well. So it's really a safe space that we have there, and we are very grateful for North Hudson Community Action Corporation for being able to allow us the space again. And to meet with patients finally one-on-one. The whole pandemic switched everything to virtual platforms, so we're really excited to be back in person and meeting the community where they're at and being able to provide resources as needed. Also, we do offer PrEP counseling as well. So once we do meet with an individual, link them to HIV and STD testing, we talk about preventative HIV measures, which is a PrEP medication. So even if you have insurance or do not have health insurance at all, we can help get you access to these tests as needed, as well as a PrEP medication at zero cost. So we work directly with different programs, specifically Gilead Payment Assistance Program that can help cover the cost of medication, HIV preventative and treatment medications as needed. So if you know somebody who is living with HIV right now, has fallen out of care and needs assistance and being linked back to medical case management, we can be able to offer that assistance as well. So that's just something to keep in mind, and just bring a little bit more awareness of our Union City presence now up here in North Hudson. We are still operating out of our Jersey City site as well, but now we are also offering support for our community members up here in Union City. So we're really excited to be back up here. And then if anyone doesn't have any questions, I think we can move on to the last slide. Awesome. And is there any, I think for this portion, we can include any questions, any preguntas. Si alguna persona tiene cualquier pregunta, pueden alocar esas preguntas en este momento.
Yes, anyone feel free to put questions in the chat or in the Q&A feature. So Elvis, one of the questions is, you were talking about the different shelters and places for folks who might be experiencing homelessness. Do you know if they are, you know, specifically trans inclusive, the ones that you mentioned? Have you heard from anybody their experiences?
Yeah, so Hoboken shelter definitely is. We did provide with LGBT plus affirming training and sensitivity training to them and their staff. I think that was either last year. It was definitely during the pandemic, but our clinical director, who's in charge of training providers and service agencies around Hudson County, did deliver an LGBT plus sensitivity training. So we are good to go on that end, because we do have, well, we did have in the past transgender specific homeless folks who did need this resource, and were worried about the fear of being misgendered and mistreated for their transgender status. So we made sure to train that shelter specifically in Hoboken. As far as Perk Shelter, I've been here for about 3 years. I think they might have experienced a training before I started, but don't quote me on it because I'm not too sure. But the last time when I spoke to Perk, I spoke to one of the case managers regarding a client of mine who identifies as gay and who was experiencing immediate housing homelessness. So they were affirming, because they told me on the phone that they do work a lot with the community members who are transgender and gay. So they should have experience, but we haven't heard any negative feedback from that shelter. So there's nothing on our end that we can say that our clients have experience from that resource, but definitely Hoboken shelter did receive their training.
Awesome, thank you. Another is, where can someone be referred to talk about getting access to HRT?
HRT, yes. So we have a counselor, licensed social worker, who does offer assistance for hormone replacement therapy. They are here, however, part-time. They're only here once a week, I believe every Wednesday. Their name is Max Laffen. They go by they, them. They're a licensed social worker, and they can be able to help navigate those resources to speak with the provider who is affirming and can offer ongoing hormone replacement therapy as needed. So that is something that we do help our community members and our youth members as well. Our youth program coordinator, Mercy Villa, does work a lot with LGBT+ youth, specifically transgender youth that may need resources as it relates to hormone replacement therapy. So we do have staff on site that can help assist with that resource as needed.
Elvis, can you say that in Spanish about the HRT in Spanish?
Sí, yeah. So en Hudson Pride Center también tenemos consejeros que están experimentados en ofreciendo asistencia en recibiendo terapia de hormonas. Si alguna persona tiene seguro de salud o no tiene seguro de salud, le podemos ayudar a alocar ese recurso. Hay un consejero que se va a dar el nombre de Max, que está aquí una vez a la semana, que es un trabajador social licenciado, y pueden ayudarte en asistirlo directamente para alocar recurso de terapia de hormonas que están buscando en este momento.
Awesome, thank you. One other question, are there any resources for, what advice would you give for someone who is, seeking healthcare, specifically relating to, for example, HIV positive services, who is undocumented and, does not have insurance?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. That's something I should have clarified. We do help any individual regardless of documentation status. So that's one thing to also keep in mind, that everything is kept private and confidential. We do not report anything to government agencies or government entities, I would say. So we do work directly with undocumented folks. When we do help them get linked to HIV and STD testing, if they test negative, we link them to our PrEP program. And if they test positive for HIV, we link them to our MAI program, which is dedicated towards working with individuals who have recently tested positive for HIV or have been living with HIV and have fallen out of care. And also, if you are undocumented, you do still qualify for what's known as the Ryan White system of care, which is government, I believe it's a federally funded resource that helps people who are living with HIV, regardless of documentation status, and being linked to medical case management and medications as needed. So regardless of documentation status, you would be able to be linked to resource as needed. I believe specifically we work directly with Hoboken University Medical Center and also Jersey City Medical Center when a patient does test positive for HIV, in order to be linked to a medical case manager and receive the treatment as needed. So I'll say that part in Spanish as well. So también aquí en nuestra organización trabajamos directamente con la comunidad undocumentada. So nuestros servicios son gratis, privados y confidenciales. Nunca reportamos su información al gobierno. Y una cosa de saber si también son undocumentados, también si salen positivos por VIH, están elegibles de acceder a los recursos de ser alocados a un médico y medicamento para el tratamiento que es necesario cuando uno está viviendo con VIH. So cuando nosotros alocamos recursos de pruebas de VIH, enfermedades sexuales, si la persona sale negativo, le referimos a nuestro programa de PrEP para poder alocar el medicamento de prevención de VIH. Y si salen positivos por VIH, le referimos a nuestro programa de MAI, que es dedicado de ayudándolas y apoyando a las personas que recientemente ha salido positivo el VIH o que están viviendo con VIH por mucho tiempo y ha caído de sus tratamientos y necesitan ayuda y apoyo en alocando un nuevo médico para poder alocar el medicamento necesario.
Thank you. Another question, can HPC help refer community members to trans-friendly OBGYNs in the county?
Trans-friendly OBGYNs in the county. Yeah, I think Max, who is a little bit more experienced in working directly with transgender and non-binary folks, does have experience. I believe from my experience, from my knowledge, I believe the LGBT plus affirming, specifically trans affirming providers are located in New York. So I can have a little bit more information about that. I just don't have that on hand, but we do help offer assistance in locating providers of all areas as needed. And I'll say that part in Spanish as well. So nuestra organización sí podemos apoyar a nuestros miembros de la comunidad a alocar recursos que es affirming de nuestra comunidad transgender, también para recursos de diferentes áreas también. So hay más información que necesito sacar, pero sí nuestros consejeros tenemos experiencia en refiriendo a nuestros clientes a recursos que son affirming. Si no están aquí en nuestra área de Hudson, le podemos alocar esos recursos lo más cercano que están disponibles.
Thank you. And do you have any resources for parents whose children or child may have come out recently, just to understand more about LGBTQ issues so they can be a better source of support for their kids?
Yeah, of course. I have specifically a resource for that. So if there is a specific parent on the call that would love to touch base with me separately, I would love to share that resource with you. We did run a support group for parents specifically in the past. So we do have a little bit of a kind of like a resource infographic that we can provide to the parents and helping them learn a little bit more of the resources that are made available, and as well as to educate parents a little bit more about the terminology of the community and how to go about being affirming to the child who has recently opened up about either their LGBTQ status and so forth. So nuestra organización anteriormente teníamos un grupo de apoyo específicamente directado a los papás de jóvenes de la comunidad LGBTQ. So nosotros sí tenemos un recurso. Si hay una persona en esta llamada directamente que quiere acceso a este recurso, le puedo enviar por correo electrónico para que usted pueda recibir un poquito de un pamphlet de nuestros recursos que nosotros colectamos para los papás y los parientes de los jóvenes que son de esta comunidad para poder educarlos y alocar recursos que usted puede usar y utilizar en haciendo más affirming para su hijo o hija.
Wonderful. All right. So that was all of the questions. Do we want to transition into the part of the call where folks can talk, and I will stop recording. If anyone wants to have a question anonymously answered before then, though, please feel free to submit something. It sounds like your dog wants to ask a question.
I'm saying, right?
Okay. To wrap up the recording portion for anyone who is watching this on YouTube at a later date, I wanted to, just make sure to thank you so much for being here, Elvis. And would you be able to just let people know again how to reach out to you if they have any questions, if they're watching this at a later time?
Yes, of course. I am available via email, which is my first name, Elvis, ELVIS, @hudsonpride.org. We also have our in-person office in Union City, located at North Hudson Community Action Corporation. We are there every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 5. So if anybody wants to walk in or schedule an appointment to meet with me directly, we can definitely set up that time to talk a little bit more. And I specifically help link people to HIV and STD testing, but I am a social worker and I can help access referrals as needed as well. So if there's even a pressing matter, whether you're a parent or just want to have a conversation with me directly, we can definitely schedule a time to do that. And I'll say that in Spanish. So si alguna persona en nuestra llamada quiere comunicarme directamente conmigo, pueden enviar un correo electrónico a mi correo electrónico a elvis @hudsonpride.org. También tenemos nuestra oficina en Union City, que queda en North Hudson Community Action Corporation, en el segundo piso. Estamos ahí cada martes y jueves desde las 9 de la mañana hasta las 5 de la tarde. Si hay una persona en esta llamada que quiere encontrar directamente conmigo o tienen cualquier pregunta, quiere tener una conversación sobre cualquier tema, nosotros podemos alocar un tiempo para poder reunir y apoyarlo en la capacidad que podemos. And yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.